And I am Sherry Naudine, owner of Collegiate Sports Advocate, and I would just welcome you all to the call tonight. And we are going to talk about what you should be doing for winter recruiting. And the reason I say that instead of preseason or off season is one of the biggest challenges is staying consistent in your recruiting and doing the things you need to do. So I always say you got to start with a plan. You have to have a plan and it has to be by season. What happens is probably three quarters or more of the student athletes will have high school coming up and they get distracted by it. And as they should give that some focus and some time and some effort, but you can't shut off the the recruiting. So go play your high school, but have a plan and keep your emails going. You should be emailing and you should know how often to email a coach. And it depends on your age group. The whole idea of emailing is to get college coaches to see you play. So, how do you keep them alive during preseason when they're out and, working with their teams? They're not able to come see you play as often as they would like. In some states, your colleges show up at your games a little bit more, but it's usually the mismatch of the opponents. So, some of that is a challenge, for the college coaches. So you just don't see them as often as you do in the regular season. So, what I recommend for emailing is to kind of keep your name alive. If you had some connection or some traction with them in fall, keep that going. And then if you don't, then maybe give them a little summary of your fall and how's that going. So that's what I would recommend for those of you who've been out there. I would say 2025s, if any of you are 25s, give me a hands up and let me know, and I'll speak to you a little differently because you're in a different situation. And then I want to recognize my favorite speaker, my co-speaker Jackie is with us. Jackie, I'm sorry I started a little early, but if you want to come on and introduce yourself, that would be great. And then add as you like.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm Jackie Wins. I'm over here in New Jersey. I'm highly involved in all sorts of aspects of the fandom here at OU, but overall in women's sports across the NCAA. I was a former D2 athlete. So, I join Sherry here often, but I'm glad to be here tonight and contribute how I can.
I love it. And she's a doctor, Jackie. I always give you that props, Jackie, because I think that's important that you have a doctorate. So, and she's brings a lot of value to recruiting and listening and being an ex-athlete. So, thank you so much for joining in. And so, what we're covering is, what you should be doing. You should not be shutting off your recruiting. We have a plan with CSA. Our student athletes have a monthly plan, a weekly plan. They have what they should be doing, and I know a lot of them do not always stay on track during the off season, and they really should, because that's the time when you get to have less emails coming in, right? The college coaches know all of the whole audience of the 475,000 softball players out there are not all emailing. And that's a great time to, get the college coach at their desk and give a little summary of fall and, maybe a little short story of what's coming up in spring. If you are in high school, this is always controversy in our TikTok live at 8 o'clock with Coach Margot. We're going to actually cover the high school issues. So that's a whole nother topic. But high school is not always as rewarding in the recruiting process because your opponents are not always the same talent level as your club level teams. So that always becomes a little challenging. So kind of less is more, but highlight the big things, right? If you're a home run hitter, you should, let them know, hey, about 2 or 3 months in, hey, I've hit my record of 10 home runs in high school. I mean, set some goals. That's the other thing that we do at CSA. So we have a plan and then we set goals in February and we call them SMART goals, and we follow it with the specific, measurable, obtainable, reachable, targeted goals. And we have a whole program. And we specifically do that in February and September ahead of the seasons that are coming up so that you're very intentional about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And when you have intentional goals that are measurable, you're going to be shocked when you write them down how much they actually come through. So definitely get yourself a plan, get yourself some goals, and then mindset management. You really got to be able to switch and compartmentalize your recruiting. It never shuts off, but you've got to be able to take on what happens in high school. And then for those of you that are not playing high school spring ball, you're actually out there starting in March and you have some really good tournaments. And if you're not aware of those states, that's Colorado, Oklahoma, Missouri, Nebraska, Iowa, and Georgia. I hope I named them all. But they have fall high school ball. And so in spring, they're out there playing their tournaments. So they have to have goals too. And they have to be emailing college coaches. And sadly, I don't think they get as many college coaches to their sidelines because they're playing at the same time the college coaches are playing. So that's always been kind of a mismatch for these high school associations. I wish we would all just get along and all have, compartmentalized seasons so we can do this very structurally. But have a plan, have SMART goals, and then you can't forget about your mindset and making sure that you're healthy emotionally and physically. We just finished 30 days of yoga, and it's probably the best thing you could do because it does teach you how to relax. It teaches you how to put your mind together and be intentional and be very directed towards what you're trying to do. But it's also injury prevention. So if you don't have a preseason workout program, you need to be doing one. You need to find them. I have a couple hints. We've always used Adrienne, Yoga with Adrienne. It's free, it's on YouTube. She has tons of content, but I actually like this thing called the jump rope dude. If you haven't seen this guy's workouts, I can't even get through 2 minutes of it. And they're like 4 minutes. It's him and his wife. The jump rope dude is insane. You want a quick, short workout with lots of cardio and lots of things that are going to be helpful to you. Man, check him out. That's the greatest way to get yourself in shape quickly. And again, being very intentional. One of the and again, if you have questions, you can raise your hand if you want to come up to speak. I can add you as a speaker. There's a little heart down there if you want to give any emojis as we're speaking. That's great. And then if you want to give a retweet as you're listening to your audience, that would be awesome in supporting us. We are going to come up here every Monday at 7. But the next thing is the distractions. Keep a day, set aside a day in your calendar of when you're going to do your emails. And it does not have to be weekly. It might be too much in preseason. Our plan is to do it monthly, but be very intentional on the date. I know that keeps coming up. That's my word of the day, but very specific on the date so that it's predictable. That was the word I was looking for. That the coaches know, oh, here comes, Jackie. She's going to email me again. It's the 15th of January. Something like that. Be very intentional and predictable and follow through. I really believe the college coaches love to see student athletes that have a plan, that work their plan. But this is one of my favorite things. Student athletes will say, "Oh, well, I'm doing speed and agility with my high school. I was too busy for yoga because I've got my own workout plan. I'm doing something different." If you are doing what everybody else is doing, you're going to turn out just like everybody else. So tweak it a little bit, do something a little different, add value. Yes, go to your high school, do your weightlifting, do your speed and agility, but do what's important for you too. Don't just do what everybody else does, or you all turn out the same. How is that differentiating you? So, Jackie, any thoughts of when you were preparing preseason? I know you played soccer in college. Was there anything that you sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think, unless clearly it's a winter sport, I think that for both fall and spring, winter is where you grind, right? It doesn't. It's either you're resetting if you're a fall sport athlete, or you're really getting ready if you're a spring sport athlete. So, in my mind, it's during these moments where you really start, right. You're not in gameplay all the time, so how do you reach that 100%, right? You can always go 90%, 90%, but at some point you have to fill that 10% to reach your 100, and that's really where, if you want to be that top 10% of athletes and really shining, doing what you need to do, this is where that 10% is made, is in the winter. So just like you said, by setting your goals, by making each day meaningful and taking a step, doesn't have to be doing 18 different things. Be a kid, be a student, do what you need to do, But what are you doing differently to achieve that 10% that nobody else is reaching for?
I love it. Always separate yourself and set yourself apart. So another phenomenon that happens in every year, some new tweak happens, but a lot of video is going up on Twitter right now. And I'm telling you, the coaches, they're not sitting at their desks swooshing through Twitter to look. And what they're seeing is not stuff that's going to be engaging for them, right? I love that quarterback at the Bengals, and he has a big phrase that says work in silence and put it on the field, right? They don't need to see you lifting weights. And I know a lot of people talk about this, but it's more marketing noise or Twitter noise. College coaches refer to it as barfing on content barfing or vomiting on social media. It doesn't really add value to your game. Does it get you some recognition? Well, probably more negative recognition than positive recognition. So there's an SEC coach that told me the more live video she sees, the more it takes you off a list because she can identify errors. So sometimes we're exposing ourselves instead of getting exposure. So, come up with different things. Come up and talk about if you're trying to keep your name out there or building your brand, come up with things about your team. Come up with things about your lifestyle, things that are fun. Even the camp photos, they're kind of irrelevant. Our group has a camp plan. It's a training that's about going to tryouts instead of camping. And when they do that, they're sending the picture on an email that's a thank you email instead of up on Twitter. You don't need to put camp photos on Twitter. You've already been there. You already camped with them. They should already know your name, right? So hopefully that makes sense instead of just saying, don't put camp photos. There's a reason and a better way to get that stickiness and for them to remember you. Because most coaches, again, are not following you on Twitter and aren't, just scrolling through Twitter. So you're really just putting it out to your friends and this organic audience that says, so what, right? What does that do? Some people believe that that gets you additional exposure. It really doesn't. The 0.01% that really are the top layer, they don't even have to put themselves up there. We already all know they're good, and they're so good they don't need to put social media up. So a lot of mistakes happen with the class like the 26 that's off and running and maybe feeling a little behind and maybe not getting the exposure that they want. They feel like they have to put more content up there, and it's actually the opposite. So we're happy to always give you evaluations. Many of you are our clients already, so I appreciate you joining in and you know showing the support and hearing more about what you do. We like the kids that are invested, that really want all the information. Be a student of the game, be a student of the system. Figure out how myself and Jackie do what we do out here, and always, bringing content and information out to the marketplace, because the more you learn from those of us who've been through it before, the easier your route in your journey is. So, the question about the right video, something we do with CSA is we put out into season offense, into season defense. We put out what we call teaser highlights instead of full video. The only time we do full video is a true skill video, not a promotion video where they go, "Hi, my name's Sherry and I play third base." You don't need to do that. They want to see a collage of your best skills right up front. And then again, you're teasing them to come see you play. So sometimes into season videos, you got to have timing on that. We're doing that right now because we just finished fall, and I'm giving you guys all our secrets because I still believe you need a service like us to get it all done and to wrap it all up in the end, because there's just so much to know. And doing the right things, I always tell people it's hard to unsee stuff. So be very cautious about what you're putting out on social media. And then it causes the distractions for people, right? And then I am convinced that you student athletes know it better than the rest of us, that when somebody is doing what we call braggalicious, it creates more negativity and more negative eyes on the person, and usually it's the parents. We all know, winky winky, we all know it's the parents. But I know, Jackie, the sooner you take over your own social media with guidance from your parents, because there are some safety reasons why you need some guidance with social media. And to be safe, you don't want to be interacting with strangers, people that you don't know. But we can tell it's the way adults speak. We speak differently when we type and we tweet versus a student athlete. And it's so important for you guys to know the business and understand who's who, and to follow college coaches and follow their culture. And I always say this, I love Larissa Anderson because I think she does a great culture, and that's Mizzou. And that is in the SEC. You should start learning the conferences. You should start learning the coaches, learn their culture, start to investigate what's going to be the right fit for you. This is all stuff you can do in preseason, right? Before you get into high school, where your time is going to be a little bit more captivated with the things you need to do. How many of you are freshmen? Give me a little high five here and tell me that you're a freshman. Um, because I think the freshmen have the biggest struggle. And if you're looking for that, it's the little heart down there at the bottom. It has a little emojis, and that's just a way you can chat, or you can actually request to be a speaker because we do not have college coaches on tonight. So we can have any of you that want to come up and ask questions or want to speak or add value to the conversation. I'm totally open to it. And I see Fang out there. Fang's a great fan of the sport, so knowledgeable. I count on him for numbers and statistics. So keep doing great things, Fang. Um, but the doing the right thing, but the distractions for freshmen, the biggest challenge for freshmen in high school and the same for college is you're going into a brand new environment with a lot of distractions. The biggest one was a student athlete's mother called me when she was a freshman, and she said, "Oh my God, Maddie's struggling. She's on the bus. She forgot her homework. She's getting behind in class." You cannot be behind in your academics. You've got to stay on top of it. So get in the habit of bringing your book back. It goes everywhere with you. Get it on the bus. Do your homework on the bus. Get ahead of the homework. You cannot wait till the last minute to get your homework done. So, part of our time management training that we teach at CSA, we do a whole program, but one of the tips is on Sunday to pull out your phones and go, okay, where are we going this week? What are we doing? And plan for the homework, plan for the bus ride. You know, a lot of you have baseball and softball preseason tournaments that are out of town, and you're spending so much time on the bus, you don't have time to come home and do your homework. And college, that's how they do it. They do their homework on the road. So start, doing that as a practice now, and that way it won't distract you from your academics. Yes, Jackie.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I noticed, and I'm in schools right now, so that transition from eighth to ninth grade and being successful in ninth grade and learning, your strategies to cope, whether that's using your scheduler, using an app, using whatever it is to be able to time manage is crucial because it mimics almost the same exact transition. You're so right, Sherry, from when you are a senior to your freshman year of college, especially if you plan to play, right? Because that's just another added transition, not just academically, but athletically. So by learning and developing your coping mechanisms from the time that you're a freshman and learning to move and groove will set you up in 4 years. It sounds crazy, but to have a little bit easier of a transition down the line because you already went through it and were successful through it.
Fantastic. And Jackie is an in the academic world and with student athletes too. So it's great, knowledgeable information she's giving you. So uh, have a plan. And I'm giving a little bit of a refresh here because I'm hoping you guys will come up with some questions or want to add some value here. All you have to do is request to be a speaker, and we'll bring you on up. And I welcome all content here. We're all learning together, but have a plan for workouts that are bigger and better than what you do with your school or with your club team. Because if you're always doing the same as everybody else, you're going to just turn out as everybody else. And I think Jackie mentioned you got to be 10% better than everybody else. And then throw some mindset in. Next week, my 7 o'clock Twitter live will be a mindset coach that does mindset management with some of the colleges. And I think he will bring on some great tips about how to, manage all of this and keep your mindset as healthy as your physical self. And then, planning out. This was the advice I gave my kids with high school when my children were playing. Is, and I don't mean this as any insult because I think some of the high schools do a terrific job, but most of you play at a really high level of softball. don't lower your work rate, don't lower your tone, don't lower your speed on the field. Actually try to teach the student athletes on your high school team the work rate and the tone and the speed of which you practice. Try to add that and show that how we're just another level up. I always say don't lower the bar, right? If they are only doing, flag poles for 2 minutes, maybe take another lap, or say, hey, coach, add some value of the types of different techniques that your team does in order to, be quicker, faster, stronger. Share drills with your coaches, share with each other, help somebody else that maybe doesn't have the same level of experience that you do. And I think that will help you also to not lower your standards. So, and again, I even think high school sometimes can be more of a preseason type of distraction for you, because when you get to June and you got to be back on the field, and all of a sudden you're right into qualifiers and you've lowered your standards, you haven't kept your speed and agility up or advanced it, then that becomes a kind of a rework, right? If you're not lifting weights and you go stagnant for 6 months because your high school doesn't lift the way you do in your private program, well, then all of a sudden you got to catch up again. So it's almost like a restart. And then I love the fuel. I never call it food. I love the fuel programs. Start really digging into, and maybe that could be another um, Twitter live that we have, how important your fuel is. What you eat fuels your body. And sometimes I'm in Texas. My husband's Hispanic. We eat a lot of Hispanic food. Not always the best fuel, but it's sure tasty. But think about what it's doing to the amount of work that you're doing. Are you helping your workouts to be the best workout possible? Talk to your trainers, ask them the amount of protein you should be eating, the amount of vegetable carbs that you should be eating. Should you have any other type of carbs? And Jackie, you may go on this one, but when my other daughter played soccer, they had a much higher carb content in their diet than softball players did. Was that true for you?
Absolutely. Yep. It's all you can go down into the science of it all, but when you're burning at that high of a rate, you need more carbs.
Yep. And so you don't want to tear down the muscle that you're building by not, having the right fuel. So if you've got professional trainers in your high schools, I would engage them and say, hey, do you have a particular food program? And then my advice to parents is we're the ones that buy it. So make it readily available in your home. Bring a cooler. I bring a cooler. They all make fun of me because I bring my own little cooler when I'm out recruiting, because I can't risk eating food at a snack bar that doesn't have what's going to help me, eat right and be healthy. So, um, have a plan, follow your workouts, keep your academics up, have specific goals. I would even start tonight when we hang up here, set yourself some goals. You can go Google SMART goals. There's many ways to slice it, but with CSA, which several of you are my CSA clients, we have SMART goals up in the wiki. We're going to start them um, in February, so be prepared to do them. But have your goals, set it up, and then look at them weekly and engage in them. And then be better at high school. Keep your goals up. Don't lower your standards. If you hit 5 home runs last year, then put yourself out there and say, I'm going to hit 10. There's school records you can break. There's county records. I remember when Lauren Chamberlain was playing high school. My daughter was the same age in high school, and she was trying to break a county record. I mean, set your goals to the next level. Don't lower your standards. And then don't feel like because it's a little bit of an off season that you need to put more video up. You just really don't. It doesn't help. It doesn't have any destination for it. And then this is camp season. There's still 3 more weeks, I think, of camps where for softball and baseball you can be on a school specific thing, and man, make it a tryout. That is the best thing you can do this time of year. I welcome questions because this is kind of my outline, and I would love to meet the needs of the audience here. If you guys have questions specifically about what else you should be doing preseason, if you want to ask a specific question, you can either tweet at me or you can go to the messenger here on my site. I'm Sherry up there in the top left. And love to hear if you have any other questions or any other. Let me check the Twitter here. But and then obviously if you can share that we're on, I love that too, and make sure that everybody can listen after we're done. Jackie, do you have any other thoughts or comments while people put their questions up?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it comes down to doing the work, and I think that that's something that I say sometimes on these spaces a lot. But you can write 18 smart goals, you can do all of these things that project that this is what you want, but it all comes down to if you're actually doing what you're stating that you're going to do, and that's an inner personal conversation with yourself. Is I say that 10% better because that has to be uncomfortable for you. You have to be uncomfortable to feel that 10%. And it is working outside your comfort zone. It is striving for those goals that you typically wouldn't reach for. And that's what being in that top 10% is like. So I encourage you to set those goals and really take steps to achieve them.
Love it. She's always got such great ads for us here. Any questions? Because I've given you my outline for how to master preseason and to stay ahead of the game and to be the top 10%, and making sure you have a plan for success. So if you want to text me privately or send me a message, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, we'll be back here next Monday, 7 o'clock. It will be our mindset coach that'll be coming on. I'll retweet that later this week and give you his information. And then we're headed over to TikTok at 8 o'clock on Coach Margot's page, and we are going to talk about high school. There's all kinds of crazy things that happened this past week with high school. So thank you all for joining, and share the space, and share it with your friends. And we'll see you next week. Thank you, Jackie.